as time flies by, you'll open up your eyes wide. You feel it's gonna go your way. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. Hey, hey, hey.
Welcome back to Marbella Now. My name is Nicole King. I hope you had a fabulous weekend, taking advantage of the superb weather. Unfortunately, the forecast is a little bit iffy. We are still with April showers, but never mind, there's lots of places to go, fortunately, restrictions permitting. We're starting off this week's programme with a very familiar face in Marbella. His name is Paul Carr, and he's one half of Collective Calling. Hello, Paul.
How you
And nice to
doing?
welcome you actually to the studio.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I love how you say just one half, because that is so true. You know, my better half will be speaking to you in a moment, right?
Well, my whole thing is hashtag better together. And I firmly believe, even with my work, that each person is good at what we do.
Right.
But we can't all do everything. So if you can find
Sure.
someone that complements your abilities that you have with Gemma or Gemma, how do you use that?
Gemma.
Gemma,
Gemma, yeah.
for the Spanish Gemma,
Yeah.
Gemma, then obviously it just makes it that much more fun as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, isn't that with life? Just, you know, like you say, with marriage, two people come together and life just becomes that much easier in some areas. And I think through this time of COVID, I think that the community is really seeing that even more, that, you know, like the neighborhood feel and just being neighbors to one another is just so important. And I think that's
You
just
guys were so active and still are, but let's just go to the COVID situation. The way that you guys not only got yourselves organized, but got other people involved, the distribution points, the warehousing, neighbors' houses such as Audrey's overtaken with bags and things.
Right.
How did you even go about it?
Well, we was in Tanzania at the time, me and Gemma, so we have our project over in Tanzania as well, helping with street children. So we'd gone to Tanzania as kind of the cases were creeping up, but it was like, okay, you know, it's starting now to hit Europe. So we jumped on a flight on our yearly trip, as we usually do, going to Tanzania. And then all of a sudden we hit the ground in Tanzania, and it's like the whole of Europe's gone on lockdown. So we was actually outside of everything that was going on here. And of course, just watching what was going on from afar, we wanted to be able to respond in some way. So we'd been helping like the homeless community before, and a handful of families. So we just contacted the volunteers that we did have, being Audrey and Kim at the time, who we specifically spoke to, and they really spearheaded it, just started speaking with their neighbors and friends and so on and so forth. And it really just snowballed from that point, of where everybody just like really stepped up to the plate and wanted to help make a difference. Yeah.
Give the viewers who perhaps aren't as familiar with Collective Calling, I think we've all heard the name now, perhaps not understanding fully what you guys represent, what you want to represent.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a good question. So Collective Calling, we came up with the name because just what you touched on at the start of the program there, that collectively, when we work together, when we look out for our neighbors, you know, we can move forward with more power. And when we're moving forward with power in love, beautiful things can happen. So we recognize that, you know, not one person is able to make a great change, but with a collective of people that come together with various gifts and skills that they have, then big changes can be made as a collective force.
You've had a lot of people come up with incentives to help raise awareness. For example, the lovely Marbella love bracelets. That, I mean, just so many different people have come forward to collaborate. Organizing everything must be very difficult to then get to the people you want to help, because there's an increasing number of people needing help. How do you see this? Where do you see your position is in this? Because we don't have enough associations. It must be very demanding for you, a big responsibility.
Yeah. I mean, I don't suppose I've looked at it in terms of a big responsibility, really, just trying to do what we can, you know, with the resources that we have and the volunteer capacity that we have, and not really carrying too much of a burden. I mean, we're not a religious organization, but we don't believe that we're here by accident. We don't believe that we are a cosmic accident, and then all of a sudden we're here walking, talking, feeling, you know, having relationships with people, that we believe that we have a creator who has a plan for our life, and we believe that what we're walking in right now is the plan that, you know, God has set out for our lives. So as we walk forward in that, we don't carry any of that burden, and we really just look to, you know, God for that guidance. And we've really just seen God just be so faithful with the, you know, with the volunteers that He's brought, and the resources being food, and the money, of course, helps. So yeah.
What's your background to being here in Marbella and starting Collective Calling, as I know it, a few years back? Where were you before? How did you get to come to set up here on the coast?
Yeah, well, I've been here on the coast for 17 years. Before I was working telemarketing. I think I worked for McAnthony Real Estate once upon a time. I've done lead generation, you know, just a lot of telemarketing work on the coast. So I was doing telemarketing, and I really felt one day when I was at work this big discontent inside of me, and I suppose I'd been feeling it for quite a while. And at that point, I'd been watching the refugee crisis in Syria kind of like really start to explode, and then refugees started making their way from Syria to Greece, and I just felt like a very strong calling inside of me at that point to just go to Greece and just do whatever I could, support an organization with my own two hands at that time. And I left my job and went across to Greece. And
that's a very big step, in the sense you leave the security of a day-to-day job, that income, to just say, okay, I'm going to go and see how I can help. So obviously that calling was very strong.
Yeah, very strong, yeah. And I suppose at that time as well, I didn't have the faith like I do now. I mean, I wasn't born in a Christian household. I wasn't born in any type of religion, and I certainly for most of my life wasn't looking towards any type of creator. But it was at that point where I felt a calling without knowing where that calling was coming from, and just responding to that calling has now, over the last 3.5 years, just from seeing literally, just miracles take place and divine provision and all of these things, has just really shown me that there isn't any other explanation but a creator that desires to have a relationship with us, that genuinely cares about us and wants to be a part of our everyday life.
So you've done this with your full heart, and Gemma also, and the results are obvious. So anyone who's doubting, whatever the inspiration is, but when you have that passion and belief in something, you really can, not say move mountains, but build schools. What are you doing in Tanzania? Because I know your projects are equally as challenging.
Yeah, Tanzania, we work with street children. So our work over in Greece led us to Tanzania, working with refugees in Tanzania. And then during our work with refugees in Tanzania, we discovered street children, some as young as 6 years old, living on the streets, which was just shocking to see. So it was at that point we decided to kind of move away from refugee support to supporting street children, but with this, again, a calling of not just supporting them and bringing them into like an institution as such. It was, bringing them back into family, however way that looked, and we didn't know how that looked. And we know that God created the family environment to be an environment for children to receive love, for the children to thrive in. And again, just touching on what you mentioned at the start of the show, like we were created to be like in relationship with one another. And I think that's what's been so hard over COVID, especially with the quarantine, is the isolation, that as human beings, we're not created to be isolated. We're created to be together. So it's the same philosophy, if you like, with the street children. It's we want to bring them off the streets. We want to provide them with safety, food, care, education, but our main focus is how can we get the children back into family. Yeah.
Paperwork in Spain is difficult, or let's say it's time consuming. Right. I can't even begin to imagine what it must be like trying to connect and contact with associations and official organizations in Tanzania. Is it this, what kind of processes do you have to go through when you have your ideas to get them off the ground? Has it been easy? Has it been got inspired that suddenly everything's just fallen into place? Or what has been the biggest challenges, you think?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. And going through, the correct government sources is, you have to go through the correct government sources. So connecting with the right government officials, just the same as here in Marbella, is probably one of the most challenging parts, because government officials are busy people. They've got a lot of things on their plate, so just finding time to be able to sit in front of them and, talk about what you want to do and then to be taken seriously is one of the hardest challenges. But God opened doors for us to be able to be sitting in front of the right people at the right time. And in terms of like Tanzania and Spain, this isn't speaking any bad about Spain at all, but I would say that the length of time that it takes to get things done are pretty par on par.
Yeah, probably one because the lack of infrastructure, and the other because there's just so many people
Overwhelmed.
using the infrastructure.
Right.
Exactly.
That's true.
Not necessarily a reflection of the quality, just of the quantity of people to deal with.
Exactly.
It's strange that how your calling takes you in different places. How did you come to meet Gemma?
So before all of this, at one of the telemarketing jobs actually, we started dating each other from there. And I was dating Gemma when I went to Greece, and the journey has been very much kind of side by side. There's been very few points where our calling has kind of parted as such, but it's been very much kind of along the same journey.
Very nice to see that it's on the same path as you and was okay.
Right.
When you had your calling.
Right.
To like jump on board.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's when you know when the things are going in the right direction.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So regarding the charity in general, what do you need from the general public? I know that we're going to be talking with Gemma after the break about a specific project that you guys have launched. But regarding everything else, how can we as the public help Collective Calling? What do you need from us?
Volunteers, we're still distributing food every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. So that requires volunteers to help sort the food, pack the food, deliver the food. We need behind the scenes volunteers that helps with all of the coordination. Gemma's still dealing with a lot of the coordination at the same time as trying to set up this program. So just being able to, relieve other people from what they're doing, which will then allow us to be able to start pressing into other areas. So volunteers is always one. Food donations, we're always calling out for food donations, and of course, monetary donations always are in need as well.
Okay, well, it's a good start with those three.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we could go on forever because it's the type of donations, but we'll maybe go with after the break. We are going to a break with some messages from our sponsors and from our Zero Hero partners. Don't go away, because after that we'll be back with Gemma Carr, more from Collective Calling. Thank you so much, Paul.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations.
Judy likes to consider herself a clever young woman, which is why she thought very carefully before choosing her insurance company. Now that she needs it, she's jolly glad she chose Linear Director, as it looks as if she might have something better to do. Why don't you be clever, like Judy? Call Linear Director on 952 14 78 34 and see which policy is best for you.
Hi guys, Ross here from Hogan Stand. Proud to be a member of the Zero Hero campaign, and we recommend everybody. Nobody drives drinking. Everybody who drives a car doesn't have any alcohol in their system, and we're proud to sponsor the Zero Hero program.
We are at one. We are at
G-Wine is happy to be Zero Hero partner.
How cool is that? G-Wine.
Clara are proud to present Zero to Hero. Never drink and drive.
When I'm the designated driver, I think it's only fair that I get to choose a Zero Hero venue that rewards me with free soft drinks. My friends all get to choose and booze, and they feel safe going home with me. Make sure that you get your reward for being the designated driver. Why pay if you don't have to?
Everyone that comes and wants to join our Zero Hero Association, they will have free non-alcoholic drinks at our venue at any time.
Welcome back to the show. Joining me now is Gemma Carr, the other half of Collective Calling and the other half of Paul Carr, who we were chatting with in the first part of the programme. Together they make a formidable team, very interactive in the community and very supportive of the community here in Marbella, with the homeless, with food, and in Tanzania with the street children, just to name some of the things that they get up to. Gemma, you look lovely. Welcome to the programme. So Marbella.
Thank you. So do you, as always. No, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, you guys are so active, you're so interactive, and really the consistency of what you do over the past few years, I think gives credit to you, what you do, and also to the things you're accomplishing. Because as we were talking about with Paul in the first part of the programme, just the organisation of what you do, and I imagine your home is like a little charity depot.
Yes, we were just saying today it would be nice to regain some of our bedrooms back for, and it's a good job we haven't had any guests actually in the last year with no one coming in, because we wouldn't be able to fit them anywhere in our house anyway, but there we go. It's
funny how charity can overtake, but
we were given our house for a reason, I think, yeah, for sure.
Interestingly, just before the break, Paul was saying how you guys met and that he had this calling. What was it like for you when he suddenly said, okay, I'm quitting telemarketing, I'm going to set up a charity, I need to do something?
Well, I mean, I think initially he just wanted to go help, and I knew that he wasn't happy in what he was doing, and it was kind of quite early on in our dating, but we were already, I think, quite together, and from my point of view anyway.
Well,
so I
it
think
was mutual.
yeah, it must have been mutual. So I think when he decided to go, I was supportive of him doing that, and then I was going out to visit him, and so I was fortunate enough to have a very flexible job where I was working from home and I could travel with my job. So I ended up just spending kind of 2 weeks out of every month, near enough, kind of with him when he decided to extend his stay. And you just get, as I say, when I started to see what it was that he was doing out there, it's infectious, shall we say, I don't know. It kind of grabbed my heart as well. And yeah, I think just the timing of everything, like he said, it's the timing is definitely not of our calling, I don't think. I think everything comes together for a reason. And yeah, we were just in a position where we could do it. We could actually just set our charity up. I think we were both, I'd lost my parents, so we'd kind of just had a bit of excess of just money that I wouldn't normally have had, and it was like, gosh, let's just do something good with it, you know what I mean? Let's just make a difference and bring a little legacy, and let's just start something and see what happens. And we knew we couldn't do it on our own, so this is what I mean. The name just then grew into itself, and everyone sort of came along beside us and made it what it is today, which has just been amazing to see.
It's been lovely actually to watch the progress of how you've grown, and how more than anything it's like in that friendship circle that really you've just developed a nice group wider group, a circle of friends that gets bigger and bigger, and they want to participate. So it's taken on a very familiar feel to it, and again that consistency of what you do is fabulous. And now you have another program.
Well, we're actually really excited.
Volunteers, get involved, because they've got other things to do as well.
I mean, it's more than just a program. We've been given like the opportunity. We've been thinking, obviously throughout the pandemic we were giving out food, which was very necessary at the time, but we've, like with the project that we do in Tanzania, it makes such a difference in people's lives, and it's such a meaningful project that, not that giving out food isn't meaningful to somebody at the time, but it's not offering any long-term solutions, really, is it? It's just putting a plaster over the problem, and that's just something that was never really something that we wanted to do. So we've been really, we looked at this opportunity to be able to run this program, which would, after speaking to the families and connecting with them over this time and speaking to them face to face, a lot of them, and actually saying, look, what is it that we can do more than just give you food, you know, and what can we do to make a difference in your lives? And really the resounding answer was work. But a lot of them were kind of struggling with things like some have gone through depression, some are really struggling with self-confidence, with a lack of self-worth, of just kind of being
when
rejected
you're out of
so
work
many
and there's
times.
no horizon of work, the best of us can find it difficult to find the good side.
Yeah. Exactly, and then that obviously prevents people from even, you'd be surprised someone that can't even just pick up the phone to get an interview with someone, even that is scary, you know what I mean? So we were just, we came across through a very dear friend of ours back in the UK that had this program that was actually working really successfully in the UK, a kind of bounce back program. And she offered us the program. She just said, look, guys, you know, if you want to do it here, like I have the material for you to do it. We were like, oh my gosh, this could really be it. And it's kind of, so it's a 9-week program that you put families, the suitable one in the family that would be appropriate for this. The first 6 weeks is called the bounce back part, which is just really spending time finding out everyone has their own gifts, their own talents, their own, it's finding out more about them, it's giving them tools on how to cope at times of emotional stress throughout periods when things like this unexpected happens in the world, building up their self-confidence, their self-worth, and just really kind of giving them the tools and starting to build up how
Someone
they communicate.
To talk to.
Exactly.
If you're the head of the
Giving
family,
them,
who do you talk to about your fears and worries? You have to put on that brave face. Everyone needs somebody.
Yeah, exactly. And along this way, you know, like it's 10 people on a course at a time. You're kind of starting to build, you know, already friendships with other people in the same situation as yourself as well, which I think is also really valuable about it all. And yeah, it's just starting to prepare them for also how to deal with employers, like how to present yourself well, how to feel better about yourself, and instilling that confidence within them, letting them see their own self-worth, letting them see what they're capable of doing, and kind of allowing them to bring that out in the most positive way, and communicating that well. So so that's kind of the first 6 weeks, which I think is the most important, you know what I mean? And it's really kind of bringing out the best in people. And then you've got 2 weeks after that, which is kind of more practical skills and interview skills, building up the best CV that we possibly can. If people aren't very good on the computer, we can give them kind of a basic IT little skills and that kind of basis for, again, going into the workplace. And then finally we have like a week of work experience. So then it's basically now we're reaching out to connect with other businesses on the coast. And after we'd really like to kind of fit them in to something that they are passionate about genuinely, because I think that's where they're going to really thrive and where they've got a chance to actually maybe continue on with employment. So yeah, it's then just connecting with businesses and getting them placements so that they can have a reference on their CV. They'll have a reference from us as an organisation that they finished the course, and they'll have a nice little certificate. And then if we can offer them ways after that of building up languages or other apprenticeships or little ways that we can get them into work. But the goal is to get everyone a job, obviously. And that's, yeah.
Well, maybe even some of them can volunteer with Collective Calling.
Or back with us,
Getting all the food
exactly.
coming
Maybe we
in
can
and
pick
label-
some nice skills out on the way.
1 week of work experience, each one, realising what you guys have gone through to get the food to them isn't a bad idea either.
Yeah.
So things that we can do as a community to help you, although as I understand it, you already have premises and you have this kind of under control. It's not so much like, you don't need so much for this, you just need to get it going.
I mean, we do need the connection with businesses. We do have obviously we needed funding for this project. We kind of reached out, and wow, I mean, I do just need to say an amazing thank you to Hightower, who have basically put up a majority of the funding for the project to enable us to get the office, which we're also using as a walk-in centre for families to come and register. It's also our food bank.
And whereabouts is this?
This is in San Pedro. Yeah, so just near the sports stadium there. So we'll be opening that in about four weeks or so. I think it'll be ready.
We'll have to come
we'll have a little opening do. Yeah, we'll have to invite you down. So yeah, and also Celeran Foundation have supplied all the furniture for the office. So I mean, that's been amazing, and we're just like, thank you so much. So the main thing is like I said, is the businesses. So we really just want to connect with businesses here along the coast that would be prepared to just invite someone that's completed a course like this to come be able to voluntarily work. You know, it's a pretty win-win situation. We'll be able to promote, publicity, you know, put their links to their companies on our website. We can all help each other along the way.
Exactly.
On things like this.
And I'm sure there's a lot of companies that will be happy to have interns to give them a chance just to see what it's all about.
It's a week, like 2 weeks if they can, but a week is nothing really for a business, is it really? So it would make such a difference for these guys, and it's giving them experience in a field that I'm sure that they genuinely want to do anyway. And just give them that stepping stone to a better future and a better life.
Well, just as well that you and Paul get on well together and like spending time together, because you're always doing one thing or another to do with one aspect or another of the charities. So it's just as well you enjoy what you do.
Yes.
And I really appreciate you taking the time to come to the studio and share a lot of things in spite of the times we've spoken before, that I'd never heard of about you, so it was nice. And just before we finish, how did you get to the coast? Because I understand the telemarketing that Paul was doing was already here.
Yes, I was a little bit before him, so I've been here about 20 years now. So yeah, I came out when I was 23. Oh my gosh, it's like a lifetime away. But yeah, I came out to do that. I think the pretty standard Brit thing. We came to run a bar like 20 years ago, and I came out and I loved it, and I never went home. And yeah.
And now you found your calling.
Yeah,
a collective calling.
Collective
calling.
A collective calling.
Yeah. Gemma Carr, thank you so much.
Oh, thank
also
you.
to Paul Carr before the break, because together they are really making a big difference in our community. We'll be back tomorrow with more things of what's going on in Marbella. Now, if you'd like to watch recordings of any of the programs, you can do so from the RTV Marbella website or from my website, nicoleking.es, with direct links to TV Marbella website. Also to the Zero Hero website, free drinks for the designated driver, and my column Marbella Moments in the Euro Weekly News. Ya está. Hasta mañana. Cuidaros. Be nice to each other.
Can change if we try. Just believe it's worth your